Ooh. Why did, why did I just get so nervous? Oh my, I don't get nervous. Not really. Not here. I mean, I've been doing these long enough, you know. In the early days, yeah. Now it's old hat. But I don't know. I just felt like nerves for some reason. Oh my gosh, they're back. Don't look at me. What is going on? Why do I feel so blushy? Oh my gosh. Hi, welcome to Real Kirk. My name is Patrick. If you're new here, I'll do a five. I felt the need. Yeah, sure. I felt the need to explain. If you're new here, I do a 5 day subscribers only thing when I go live. First of all, to filter out the trolls. Second of all, to give people time to like learn me and how I do stuff and operate. Because I'm like 9 times out of 10 probably not gonna pull cards for people. Um, you know, and I feel like when it's just like open, you kind of sort of get not only trolls but also people who will be like, "Hey, can you pull a card for this or pull a card for that?" And then I'd be like, I'm not doing that, but hopefully you can. It's just to like eliminate all of that. So, and again, to give y'all a feel for who I am. So now, could you do that with the chat on? Sure. Anyway, I wanted to do this whole like for those of you who are new here. That's the spiel. For those of you who are returning, I hope you're ready. I want it to be all like ominous. I want it to be all ominous and spooky. Spocky, Spocky, and ominous. Cool. I'm just failing today, which is fine. I've had a few days off. The weather said, "Hey Pat, take a break." So I slept for a few days. Fortunately, the heat kind of broke because we ain't have no power. The storm was storming, and the trees. It's so interesting when trees get pulled up. It's so interesting to see some like massive trees that have like no roots. And then, of course, when they come up, you're like, okay, well, no wonder they came up. They didn't have anything to anchor them. But like they've been through so many storms and they got so big, you would just think that they had more of an anchor. You know what I mean? But apparently not. What are we doing today? Today is the new moon Gemini, according to this calendar over here, the 14th. Also, today is a very special Gemini's birthday. Happy birthday. Not that one. I feel like I gotta clarify. Special to somebody, sure. My cousin. Today's my cousin's birthday. Happy birthday to her. The OJL today. OJL stands for Oracle Juice Live. And the Oracle Juice is a nice coffee. Because at the end of the day, Oracle Juice is just it's a label, right? Anything can be Oracle Juice. It doesn't have to be alcohol. But I saw this interesting thing on Instagram. Excuse me, maybe when I was out and about, apparently like one of the towers went down, so I didn't even have phone signal. I was like, oh my gosh, I can charge my phone because my portable charger had enough charge, but I didn't have a signal to do anything with it. So maybe when I was with my grandma, maybe when I was at the store, or just like sitting in the car outside the store, I saw something on Instagram about vultures and how I'm pretty sure it was vultures, how their stomachs kill like E. coli and a whole bunch of stuff. And so one of the good things, ooh, the whale and the scorpion, one of the good things about them is that when they decompose dead things, they actually kill the bad stuff. But it may have been in India, and it may have been in India, and I think it's happening somewhere else. When the vulture population declined, other animals stepped in and fulfilled that role of decomposer, but their digestive system didn't neutralize all of those like bacteria the way that vultures did. So you actually kind of get like another, not crisis, but that neutralization isn't happening, which leads to sickness. And I was just like, oh, how interesting. So I want to obviously pull before and after the vulture. Vulture on a new moon vibe. I was going somewhere because I was like, vulture really on a new moon? Well, if you think about it, today's the new moon in Gemini, which means that both the sun and the moon are in Gemini, and there's two twins. Anyway, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is a psychopomp. So if we're talking about the realm of the dead, it makes sense because he would like help fairy soul or whatever, right? There we go. That's the end. Also, something about open doors, right? Like I thought I closed my door and then I went to go get my stuff and I look and it's open. And yesterday, when I was running around with my number one fan, ooh, Magician in the Mirror with the second chart of Archangel Ariel, there was a door that she had closed, but it kept opening. So I'm going to pick the first door and the energy oracle cards because it's the energy of open doors. I'm personally hoping for the door to spirit. I feel like the door to romance is like, I feel like as much of a lover of love as I am, there's only so much. There's only so many, right? For me. Also, I think it's just because my interests also lie elsewhere. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what about the other stuff? Hello? And also, I was thinking about when I did, for some reason, it didn't click when I was doing the last live, the OJL that ended up being a self read. Um, it didn't click until I think yesterday. And I don't know why. I can't remember what specifically precipitated the realization, but I used to call myself a path worker, which is why it makes sense. Like the magnifying glass and the bridge even came out. And like I still didn't put two and two together at the time. Also, I feel like there were so many kind of like answering the question itself in that last video that I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Um, so yeah, y'all remember those days? Anyway, so I'm also grabbing the Water Known Alchemy because I'm feeling it, and the Mythical Creatures Oracle cards because I want to. And I think that's it. There's a lot of Oracle decks. There's no tarot on the table. Surprisingly, question mark. And I think that is it. Now, sometimes I get the cards out and I like pre-shuffle. Not often, if I'm being honest. I get the cards out and I pre-shuffle before, excuse me, the video. A lot of times, most of the time I don't. And it's like, pulling the cards out and shuffling the deck. It's just part of the way I do things over here. Sometimes it's part of the energy, right? To sort of lay everything out, to get it prepared. It's like when you go to a hibachi grill, right? The preparation is part of the presentation, is part of the meal, right? Sometimes you see the chef cook or the artist at work. Sometimes you only see the masterpiece or you only, get your meal. And yeah, besides that, the fog and conjunction. The conjunction in the fog. Whoa. What does it mean? Well, everything was all obscured. Something was going down. Well, I told y'all. To the returners, I hope y'all are ready. Ready for what? Let's see. I hope you're ready for this. The Ouroboros. Oh, with the peacock's tail at the bottom of the deck. Number 45, which is a 9. 45 is death and the Hierophant. I feel like, so when it came to the vulture, the thing that I saw in the video was about the harmful organisms that the vulture neutralizes as it returns nutrients to the soil, right? So it's a decomposer. So if someone or something, sorry, if something were to pass due to an illness, the last thing you would kind of sort of want to do is, what's the word? It starts with an N. Nutrients. I want to say nourish, I guess. There we go. I kept wanting to say like neutralize because like nutrient, and I'm like, that's not, no. The last thing you want to do is to like nourish, to nourish the next thing with the very thing that like ended the previous generation type energy. You know what I mean? It's like sowing the seeds of destruction at the very beginning because the thing that ended the previous thing hasn't been neutralized or whatever. But it's almost like instead of that, like a good decomposer, there's something that it returns to the space. It doesn't only make room by getting rid of the carcass, it also returns nutrients to the environment for the next thing to grow. And without that nutrient, without those nutrients being provided, it's like it makes, maybe I should have titled this ICC because I feel like this isn't even alcoholic and I feel like my brain is just like struggling. It's like it stunts the growth. It's malnourished. It doesn't, but it's like something that it should have had. You know what I mean? So I wanted to count these actually. And maybe the Ouroboros may actually be a good, right? So like if this is a E. coli or something, girl, I forget what they were. They were like kind of dastardly. If this is like E. coli or something, like the green thing is E. coli, and the golden amber is the internal biology of the Ouroboros encasing it, neutralizing it, so that when the nutrients are returned, like this has been neutralized, immobilized, right? Rather than it just like passing straight through, or rather than the organism itself becoming a host. So, like, it's a dog, because I think it's it like dogs are one of the animals that will sort of like step in, because you know, dogs will kind of eat anything, but dogs, they don't metabolize all of that stuff like the vulture does. And so if the dog ends up stepping in and becoming a host, but then it like bites people or whatever, then it's like it could be infecting the people that it bites through its saliva. Because instead of, again, the vulture that neutralizes those things, like within the dog, it's just like this breeding ground where it just keeps continuing to proliferate, and then it actually spreads through the dog. I'm just like, okay. I don't have any tarot. I mean, oh, I was gonna grab the Astral Matrix Tarot. Excuse me, I think there's a buzzard in the death card, which is why I was being pulled to that one specifically. Pacifically. And what does this have to do with anything? The Manticore. I actually have a Manticore spread. It's one of the spreads that I built. If the link is still active, I haven't tried to click it in a while. In the description box, I used to build spreads. I remember, like, those are some of the highlights. Some of the most fun I feel like I've had was like building spreads and then using them. I used to do it live, and then all the ones that I built live, I had uploaded to that Google Drive, whatever. I guess I can just go into the description box and click. Actually, I don't think I need to. I mean, I would get a nice graphic if I had made one for it, but where's my OneNote? Hello? Is it in here? I know I got it on this phone. I mean, maybe I'm not going to use it anyway. How do I not have OneNote on here? It's on my iPad. Give me a second. Uno momento, por favor. I feel like this is, I don't know, honestly, um, lunar cycles and stuff ain't really my. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's not really my jam. I just like pull cards because I like cards. A lot of that other stuff, like full moon, new moon, crystals, stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know. It's all secondhand for me information that I don't necessarily engage with. Like, which one do you manifest on? Which one do you release on? I don't know. Seek a professional. I'm not a professional in that sense. Are they here? No. Here? Oh, come on. Yes. Mystic spreads. Mystic spreads. And it ain't even nothing here. Wow. The mermaid. I didn't even build this. Are you serious? Well, that sucks. Okay, some of these are actually here. I'm pretty sure the manticore, here it is. Ace of Swords and Death were the two cards that were the like thematic whatever of the Manticore spread. Because we're talking about the Vulture and Decomposers, it kind of seems fitting. So, am I using this? No. Nah, I'm not using this. Mm-mm. I think because also, like, when I build the spread, sometimes it looks a little different when I create the graphic. And the graphic is just like a one page card layout, little blurb, whatever. And when I do that, sometimes I kind of generalize it a little bit. Um, you know. Okay, Chino. Cool. Oh yeah. I keep like I feel like I'm missing something. It's the Astral Matrix Tarot. I'm trying to think. What is are we like 20 minutes in? 21, almost 22 minutes, and we ain't even pulled nothing yet. Which is also something that you learn about me. Cool. I actually do have some water. Do I want to use both of them or just one of them? I kind of wanted to use both. So my original idea was to get the vulture from the wild unknown animal spirits, excuse me, and then to pull the mirror of the vulture and the wild unknown animal spirits to then get an alchemy for both and then to use the tarot, I guess. I feel like my brain just died. I've been sleeping a lot. I mean, there's been nothing else to do, really. I mean, there were some other things to do, but I was like, you know what? Also, I feel like this is kind of an aside. I feel like I don't know if it's I feel like one of my strengths that comes full circle around to a weakness is that sometimes I'm like simultaneously maybe like too open minded and too considerate of other things. For example, I did a group interview one time when I was in the RA process. I was an RA at my university for a year, and we had a group interview and asked us to like rank different concerns that a hypothetical student had. It was like the social life, academic life, all this other stuff. Right? And like 4 out of 5 of us kind of sort of agreed on one thing, and then one person had like a different order of priorities. And the more they talked, I was like, yeah, like you're kind of right. And it's like, it's not that there was a right or wrong answer, but there were some more or less correct answers based upon how it was presented. Right. And basically, I had like got not like I just like I bought into it. And then it was like, wait, no. And so Yeah, I feel like, and it was like before the storm. I feel like there was one path, and I talked about it in the last live. It was one thing completely out of the blue, something I was like never considered, that I wasn't even necessarily open to, right? It caught me in a moment of openness and consideration, and I feel like I was like down until reality kind of sort of hit again, and then I was like, wait, no. I was like, hold up. That was like cute, and it's not. Again, there are like certain things that it speaks to, but also reasons why it doesn't make sense for me right now. And then I was like, okay, yeah. And that's what made me think about it. And I feel like I thought about that when I was on a walk. Like, I feel like I was walking when I had that thought, but I haven't been walking in a while, which is kind of weird, right? When's the last time I went walking? I mean, I went today. And it feels like there are like I've been asleep. I've been in here like sleeping, but I feel like I've been like walking and like contemplating these things. And I'm like, no, girl, I've been in the bed. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that happened. I was like, okay, it was just to be open. It was an exercise of openness and an exercise of consideration, not necessarily one of doing. And that's why, because like I talked to somebody, I got some feedback after. They were like, like, yeah. And that was kind of a thing for a hot minute, right? The eagle and the raccoon. That was kind of a thing for me for a hot minute. It was like not being so considerate or open, or not diving so deep into something that I end up in something that's like not for me. And usually, 9 times out of 10, there's something that happens where I get snapped back to reality. And I'm like, oh, well. I was like, oh, yeah, no, not for me. Like, I get it. I understand. But as for me, this is no. Right. And sometimes there are some things that I can like take or integrate. Sometimes it's just yeah. Anyway, all right. I don't see, now that I'm like pulling these out, I don't know if I'm feeling them. I don't know if I'm feeling the tarot, Astro Matrix tarot. We'll see. All right. This is all a part of the process. Sometimes I timestamp. Sometimes I don't. All right. I think I'm over the nerves. I don't know if there's like, I don't know what that was. I was like, I don't get nervous, but I felt like some kind of eyes on me or something. I'm like, oh, what? Now it's back. Anyway, it's fine. And that's the iced coffee gone. It is 10 something p.m. And I just drank an iced coffee, and I'm going to sleep like a baby. Unfortunately, caffeine doesn't really do anything for me. Sometimes I wish, right? People be like, oh, I'm so tired. I need an energy drink, or I need a coffee. And then they like perk up, and I'm like, do we want to do this? How do we want to proceed? First, I need to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 63. Is that right? That's how many cards I got. 63. So that should put me at the 32. Yeah, the 32nd, right? 31 is 62 plus 1 in the middle is 63. So basically, it's going to mirror around that 32nd card. So if I get the 12th one, then it'll be 32 plus 12 question mark. Is this a side effect of using more and more AI? Has my brain right? It'll be 12. No. It'll be 12 from 63 because the mirror is at 32. That's how I'm going to do it. Now, if the vulture is the 32nd card, then it has no mirror, and that will be significant in and of itself, right? So I guess vulture will symbolize the proper question mark, decomposer, and the other animal on the other side of that mirror will symbolize aspects of an energy that has stepped in to fill that place. Now, the reason why I wanted to use more cards, especially like the tarot where I have two versions of the same deck, is like just because like the information that I came across said that these other animals that step in to do the job of the vulture, they're not built for it quite the same. But I don't necessarily like, I want to leave room for things to like work out sort of the same. You know what I mean? Because we're getting into the energetics of it. The zebra fell out. I don't know why she is giving lashes today. Zebra is giving lashes. She's giving like, you know, when people like the batting eyelashes. What the freak is happening? I think we did just have what? Venus conjunct Jupiter, maybe. 2 degrees. Oof, it's almost that time. It's almost time for the nodes to shift. Interesting. Chiron isn't going to retrograde soon, is it? Mars is coming up on my moon. Mars is coming up on my moon, while Saturn is coming up on my Venus. What's that? How that work? How is that going to work? Bless you. 24 degrees. Interesting. Oh, yeah. So Venus is already in Leo. So she's already overtaken Jupiter in Cancer. Cool. All right. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. That's what we're going to do. Zebra. I mean, I feel like I got to put it back. Unless, because, I'm like, I don't know where I would put it. But the golden egg and the snake is at the bottom of the deck. Flirting with opportunity and flirting with destiny came Come on. No, I see the deer there. All right. Oh, there's the eagle again. Okay. If I can go 3 without a flip or fall, then I will know that we're ready. And a cut, we are ready. Am I taking from the top? Sure. Let's do both. Yeah. If I do both, then that should be the mirror. Right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what we're going to do. So we have the golden egg and the beaver, raccoon and the dolphin, hummingbird and the hawk. And I'm just going to keep pulling like this until, so I'm doing one off the top, one off the bottom until we see the vulture. Oh, there's the vulture. Okay. So when I was talking about how I wanted to use multiple decks to see if the energy like works out better, or sorry, to see if the energy works out the same, because the information said that it's usually worse because the other animals don't have the biology to neutralize those threats. I was like, or better. I was thinking, or better. So on one side, we have the vulture. On the other side, the phoenix. What was that? Did y'all might not have heard that. It sounded like a box opening. I mean, it could have been. I didn't. It's fine. Right? Let's count. Shall we count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's the 7th card. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So it's the 7th. 7th from the top and bottom. We have the vulture and the phoenix. Now, immediately under the vulture is the lizard, under the phoenix is the elk. The elk has this like solar eclipsey type energy with the horns, antlers, and the lizard is giving lizard. It, and the Ouroboros was the card that came out. There's something about the phoenix that feels like I feel like if the vulture neutralizes, something about the phoenix can like integrate or use the thing and not just neutralize it. And then with the elk behind it, it's because it has like the wisdom too, right? But with the lizard behind the vulture, it's not bad, but it's like, because there's, for me, I'm on lizards, she's giving cold-blooded, right? So if she's cold, she has to go out into the sun. If she's warm, she has to go into the shade because lizards can't regulate their own body heat. They don't have that. I want to say like I've slept too much and my brain is already whatever. I need to conserve mental power. I want to say like it's not hemostatic. Homeostasis. That's what it is. Hemostatic, that's like with the blood. I mean, which, warm blooded, cold blooded. A hemostatic is any agent, material, or medication designed to stop bleeding. By accelerating the body's natural blood clotting process, these agents are essential in surgical procedures and trauma care. But I wasn't looking for a hemostatic, I was looking for a homeostatic, right? Homeostasis, Homeostatas. Homeostasis is the body's natural self-regulating process that maintains internal stability and balance despite fluctuating external conditions. There you go. Anyway, it's something about that homeostatic. I don't know. I feel like when I was originally, which is again, this is why I left room for it to work out differently. But also in the Ouroboros, we did see it being encased in like that gold and amber energy, right? Okay. All right. This is where we are. Cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Just for completion's sake, question mark. Let's go one more. So after the vulture is the bee, which was the significator. I'm pretty sure the last one I used in this deck. After the phoenix is the rabbit. Now, this is the part where I'm like, was that a mistake? Should I just left it where it was? No, is what I say. But watch me conveniently not reference these cards. I'm kidding. See, the thing about the rabbit is it's the energy of proliferation, the energy of something that takes on a life of its own. And depending on what the thing is, sometimes it's not desirable, right? You don't necessarily want a population to grow out of control because then it can disrupt the natural uh, ecosystem, right? Like, let's say you have a bunny boom, and now all of a sudden there is a certain plant that a certain animal depends on, but the rabbits are out competing the animal and they eat up all the plants. Now the whole ecosystem is in chaos because this plant is whatever. You got it. I trust. You are very capable. But again, with the bumblebee, it's just like that status quo of the lizard. Like everything with the lizard, the vulture, and the bee speaks to like well established cycles. And with the phoenix, it's like because there's something that you get out of the thing beyond just that recycling, it introduces something new. Cool. These don't have numbers, but we have, I can look before and after death for the vulture, and then I can look before and after judgment for the phoenix because the judgment card has a phoenix in it. And I think that that's what I'm going to do right now. This will be the death one. Bottom of the deck, we have the King of Cups. I almost said Prince. because, you know, King of Cups, Seven of Wands, and the Ten of Swords. It's fine. Sorry. Over here, Judgment is in between the Page of Cups and the Nine of Swords. If you're curious. This is very close to the top of the deck. I didn't even have to count the cards. I could have just pulled top and bottom. Oh, it's the Ten of Swords. Okay, it's not the death card. Kali Ma's on the death card. It's the Ten of Swords. I'm like looking through this whole deck. I'm like, where's the vote? And it's literally right here. It was the third card. So the King of Pentacles, or do I put it back? No, it was the King of Pentacles. Yeah, because this is yeah. I put them down in order. So what's interesting about this? I was on my walk earlier today, and I walk in a cemetery, right? Not because I'm particularly ooky spooky, but because it's like, you know, well paved, and it's a thing that people do in my hometown. I do it when the sun is up. I was out there one day when the sun was starting to set, and I was like, I gotta go. But in the daytime, it's fine. And I was out there, and I was like, what does it mean when spirit goes quiet? And then I look over and I see on the tombstone, it was Moses, the last name Moses. And I didn't even think about it at the time. I was just like, oh, I've been seeing Moses on the Seven of Wands in the Tarot Apocalypse. But Moses did try to like force the hand of the divine and make a show of things. And that's, you know, why he struggled as much as he did. Because the divine was like, you don't run me, mister. I'm here to help you and your folk. Hello? But that in and of itself is kind of an answer to that question. Because I'm just like, I don't know. I don't. It's one of those experiences that I'm not personally familiar with. So I'm like, that's why I was like, what does that even mean? Right? And then I saw Moses. Moses is on the Seven of Wands in the Tarot Apocalypse, and the Seven of Wands is here. That's what made me think of that. I put the other animals back on top of the deck so I can reduce some space here, but how do I want to do this? Top, middle, bottom, Seven of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. Which is interesting in a way. Fire energies, and also it's the bee that pollinates the flowers in this King of Pentacles. And there's the vulture in the Ten of Swords, if you were curious. I feel like this kind of sort of picked up. Okay, kind of sort of, but not really at the same time. And the King of Cups is here. Again, just for your information. Let's put you right here. And I'm going to do my best to kind of keep these separate. Because last thing I want to do was end up with duplicates of the same deck. King of Swords was a final card here. While we have the King of Cups. Eight of Wands on the Star card. After cut. 1. Oh. 2. Oh, I guess I could have stopped. The Phoenix speaks. The Two of Cups. And see how they're like joining hands? And you see that winged staff? When we have the wings of the Phoenix? And like this, see this, like the embers here, and then like the sun right there. Oh, and then the King of Pentacles flipped over. With the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Pocket is getting very warm. Two of Cups, Page of Swords. Oh, come on. Ooh, ooh. Hold up. I ain't trying to have a miss. Because I'm looking for a significator, I want no flips or falls. Oh, ooh, that was close. Well, one more. Come on, one more. Oh, it flipped. Oh, it flipped again. So first we had the Two of Cups and then the King of Wands. Now we have the Four of Swords with the Seven of Pentacles. And the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I feel like it's trying to speak to me. What was that, Finding Nemo? When he was like, he's trying to tell me something. I know it. I feel like the cards are trying to speak. Okay. Where are the nodes? The nodes are Pisces, Virgo, shifting, Leo, Aquarius, which means that we'll be coming up on the eclipses. Either they're going to be Virgo season or Leo season. I don't know. But they'll be around there. Let me take a sip of water. I feel like the image is like there. I feel like the energy is like right there. it kind of sort of goes back to that preternatural energy that's been coming out lately. Who that? Who that? Budget. Excuse me. Okay. Who's at the bottom of the deck? The Ace of Swords. I feel like I got it. I just like my brain. Um, could you call it a remnant? I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about it. And I was like, okay, these are the images that is going to be the focus today. The vulture. And that was all the thought. I could ask ChatGPT. Not ChatGPT. I could ask Gemini. I have such an interesting relationship with Gemini. I feel like it kind of plays on that preternatural energy in the sense of like things that have always been there. But it's almost like a vestigial structure, right? Vestigial structures are basically remnants from bygone times, right? Like how snakes have pelvises. You're like, what? Snakes don't have legs. Snakes haven't evolutionarily haven't had legs for a very long time. Why would a snake have a pelvis if it doesn't have any legs? Because there was a time where they did have legs, and even though they've been legless for a while, they still have pelvises. It's vestigial. They've like evolutionarily they've outgrown it, but the structure is still there, right? I think when I was coming up through the high school, there was something, maybe the spleen, maybe question mark, maybe not. That they were like theorizing, hypothesizing was vestigial because they're like, well, we don't know what this does. Now, of course, given more time, they're like, oh, maybe it does this. It's an energy of something vestigial in that maybe a spleen is a perfect example, actually, honestly. Maybe low key, we'll see. Um, it's like it fits the energy of something vestigial, and that like with the way that the world currently operates, there's no use and or purpose for something. Like it's there, but it doesn't get used. But unlike something truly vestigial, it it doesn't feel like we've evolved beyond its purpose. It just feels like it's fallen out of disuse. And so we look at it as a relic or as something of a bygone time when it's just like very much so still um, viable. We would just have to know how to like operate it, basically. And because life works in the flow that it works in, the lizard, the vulture, and the bee, they're like just kind of sort of symbolic of how everything is. And so everything over here is just like, standard operating procedures. But with the phoenix, it's like being able to utilize the thing. And again, it plays into that preternatural energy by the scope, scale, magnitude, wondiferousness of the thing. Where like you would think it's like supernatural or impossible or whatever, but it's like incredibly natural, right? It's almost like, for example, let's say, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if I have the mental capacity to try to find another metaphor. Okay. This is a metaphor. Let's say that there's some huge conspiracy where big grocery wants us to rely on them for wants us to rely on them for our produce needs. And so they wipe out all the farmers and they scrub the world of all knowledge of farming, right? And all we know is we go to the grocery store and there's bananas on the shelf and we don't necessarily know how they get there, but we know that big grocery Dole puts the banana Dole and Chiquita and they put the bananas on the shelves, right? So I feel like bananas aren't necessarily, let's go apples, just because bananas don't have seeds. And we're not talking about plantains. So apples, they put the apples on the shelves. Dole still does apples, right? Sure. Anyway, it's fine. Let me not get lost in the technicalities of the metaphor. So it's like it goes on for years, right? We don't know anything about farming, and then all of a sudden, one day, someone plants one of the seeds from the apple in the ground. And let's say, like, they don't, at this point, like, they don't even necessarily have to really tend to it. And the Seven of Pentacles is right here. OMG, love it. They don't even necessarily have to tend to it because the environment is so perfect. It's just that, like, people don't plant seeds. And maybe because people haven't been planting seeds, the soil is just like ultra nutrient dense because all those nutrients have just been in the soil without any crops to take advantage, right? So you plant the apple seed and then you get an apple tree. And you may think it's magic, but that's just how things work, right? It's almost like that, where it's not like spontaneous generation. Like, let me show you a hack to turn your one apple into hundreds, and every year you'll get more and more apples, right? Except, I mean, we'll have to get into the cards to find out. I don't like that would be a sort of like earthen metaphor. I don't know what realm this is playing out in, right? Oh, okay. Temperance just came out with nine swords and the five of pentacles at the bottom of the deck. This is a 5/5, 5/14. Oops. Again, in the metaphor, all we had to do was plant the seeds because all of the nutrients that have remained in the ground for however long it takes us to forget about farming and agriculture, right? So at least a few generations. And maybe that's why this rabbit energy is here, like the energy of proliferation. Like once you tap into it, it'll take on like a life of its own, right? Type energy. This temperance card, I mean, I guess you could say it'd be like a download or something. Because why, at that point, why would anyone think to plant the seed in the ground from the apple? If not but the divine or someone's farmer ancestor from however long ago speaking to them through them, like plant the seed. This is also interesting because I don't know if it was the same preternatural type energy, but I do remember the energy of the seed, the stone. It was the stone, the shapeshifter, and whatever else. No, because the seed was with the shapeshifter. It was the stone, or was the seed with the ring? I think it was the stone, the shapeshifter, and something else. The seed was with the ring. It was that energy that was like someone bringing some ancient species of plant back to life by like planting the seed, and you know the circumstances being right for the seed to grow. But further, it was that someone praying for a cure to something, and they're given a stone, right? They find out or not that the stone is a seed. Do they pulverize that one seed to make however many tinctures one seed can make, or do they plant the seed to grow the plant to get more seeds? Now, with this vulture energy, like the vulture reads like turning the one seed into however many tinctures, and then that kind of sort of being it. The phoenix reads more like planting the seed, cultivating this new plant, and using those seeds so that like whenever there is a malady, the cure is sort of there. Okay. As soon as I can get 3 shuffles and a card doesn't flip or fall, then I'll know that we're ready to go looking for judgment. 1, 2. Oof, that was scary. 3. Okay, cool. We got it. Bottom of the deck, we have the 3 of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. We have the King of Cups, 7. Ooh, okay. King of Cups, 7 of Wands, and the 10 of Swords. Oh, the Ace of Cups is in reverse. 3 of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups, bottom 3. We're looking for judgment. I kept hearing like apocalypse. I was like, it's apocalypse in the SKT. Here it's judgment. What was this? Oh, the 4 of Cups was flipped over. I didn't even see that it had flipped. So it was the Knight of Swords rushing to this face down card, and then the 4 of Wands on the other side. Now, we can flip it to see that it's the 4 of Cups. Sorry. You ever feel like it's like, you know those the dome poppers? Maybe not. So, as an aside, really quick, The dome poppers were those things that back, like you would flip them inside out. They're like a little dome made out of some kind of like fairly hard rubber, and you flip it inside out and you set it down, and then when it like inverts or goes back to its original thing, it'll like pop up off of the whatever. I feel like that was my brain just like flipped it inside out, and then it's like it pops back into shape, and I'm like, oh gosh. Because we see the Ace of Cups here. We see, okay. So again, Four of Cups, the Ace of Cups is being presented through this, right? What is the Knight of Swords rushing towards before we hit that Four of Wands? Four of Cups. We see the Ace of Cups here, but the Ace of Wands is the thing that was presented. Now, of course, there is the Tarot Apocalypsis, Magician, Heavenly Fire is Water on Earth, right? But because of the Three of Pentacles, because of the Three of Pentacles, it could be a like one thing leads to another type vibe. Because again, in the metaphor with the apple, they get the apple tree, but they don't necessarily get the knowledge of agriculture, right? Agriculture is something that humanity's been doing for a while. They don't necessarily learn. I guess it's a question. What would they learn? The Ace of Swords was on the other side, wasn't it? Okay, anyway. We'll just set these here and we'll keep going. Okay. So here, the Ten of Swords is in between the Seven of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. I mean, no disrespect. But in the metaphor here, I'm sorry. I don't know why this is so funny to me. I don't know why this is so hilarious to me. It's not. But it's entertaining. In the metaphor here, there's like this ritual and ceremony, which is again why it's not funny. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Maybe it's the advantage of having the limited knowledge that I have in the case of this metaphor. Oh, 1 second. Was that an eyelash? Okay. Dropped right on my tongue, apparently. So it's like they would plant the apple, or they would plant the apple seed, and then do this like dance to get an apple tree to grow. But like, since we know agriculture, like we know how silly that would be. Or I feel like it depends on the environment, honestly. Because if you get an apple tree to grow in the desert, that is miraculous. And that's where this dance is happening, in the desert. Because usually you don't get trees like that in the desert. So it's like not too much. But there are certain things that we know about agriculture where it's like it doesn't take divine intervention to do that. Like people have, like, agriculture has been a thing for hundreds, thousands of years, right? Oh, ooh, okay. So we have the King of Swords, Judgment with the Phoenix, and the Two of Swords. On the other side of the Two of Swords is the Sun. Okay. So we got the King of Pentacles on one side and the King of Swords on the other. Now, what's interesting, I guess, is that King of Pentacles is like the elk can hold a King of Pentacles type energy, right? Why do I feel like this is like a question? I feel like there's a hypothetical. Hypothetical isn't the word. I feel like these cards introduce a question. Why is my tongue out of my mouth? I don't know. Sorry. Focus. And the question is almost one of, if, let's say, for example, that the world is the way the world is, and it's something that we've grown to accept. And now let's say that there's a better way to do things, right? Or a different way. There's a different way to do things that adds a lot of benefits, eases a lot of concerns, and comparatively has like few drawbacks. I feel like the question that's almost posed here is how one would go about introducing that information, right? Because I feel like we already have enough mystery, occult, secret society type whatever that hoard knowledge, information, and sometimes create not too much. Let's stay in the realm of hypotheticals. Um, it's like, would that information be disseminated freely for one? Would it be understood enough to be almost demystified for two? And it's kind of that. It's kind of those two. Those are the big two, right? Is it going to be understood enough to be demystified enough so that we're not necessarily doing that page of wands dance to get the apple trees to grow? And again, not saying that there aren't situations and environments where divine intervention isn't needed or where miracles don't happen, right? Because again, in the metaphor of the apple tree, environments, well, it'll just grow. If the conditions are right and you certain environments, it'll, you know, grow by itself. That rabbit energy, it'll take on a life of its own and it'll proliferate and you won't really have to do much of anything. There are other environments like that desert where you're not necessarily going to get an apple tree just because you plant a seed, right? So in the desert, it would take, you know, metaphorically, intervention and act of the divine to get that to grow. Right? So not completely crapping on everything. But it's the question of like, will it be demystified enough to be like understood and integrated into our daily life, like agriculture has been, or is it gonna purely be like this ritualistic thing that we don't really understand for however long? Again, the question of that and the question of will that knowledge be disseminated? Or would it be hoarded by whoever? Because hoarding is the way of the world now, right? And I don't want to say the illusion of mystification. We'll dress it up like reverence for the sanctity of whatever. That's like this lizard, vulture, bumblebee. And because of that, because like the rabbit is here, because the rabbit is here, it's like it's widely disseminated. It comes to be like public knowledge. Again, it takes on a life of its own and not just like, behind closed doors or whatever. Cool. Anyway. Okay. So now I feel like we might see what financial constraints or the door to value just because of the question. Magician in the Mirror was 7th. Chakra Archangel Uriel. Interesting. All right. We'll only do 2 here. And a kite. Okay, well. We got a woman holding a coin and carrying connections. 1442. Door to personal healing and happiness. Okay. I forgot about this one. With the thinking man. So there's no card before, only a card after. But we did get the woman holding a coin with carrying connections. This is where I feel like it all falls apart. I mean, like, this is where my mind just melts. And I'm like, a brain puddle. Got brain oozing out of my ears. It's interesting that the thinking man is here on the side of the Phoenix because the King of Swords is there. What is this? I mean, hey, I'm the one that wanted to be all cryptic. For the returners, I hope you're ready. It's Phoenix time, baby. Oh, maybe I should ask myself. If I were to ask myself, Patrick, if you came upon some kind of knowledge that bordered on the mystical and supernatural and had the power to drastically change the world. But I feel like, because I just saw an Instagram reel that was about the guy who, like, there's a guy who invented some new kind of like bottle or something. And he was told not to patent it, just like the guy who discovered how to turn plastic into fuel was told not to patent that because if you patent it, you have to provide everything. And once you provide everything, it becomes public knowledge, right? You can go and look up a patent and get all kinds of information. And so they were like, to protect that information, you don't patent it. And so I feel like in general, there is a distrust of certain governing bodies, aka like anybody, that it's like if you know something, you don't say anything because then that'll make you a target, right? Think of your anybody's, anyone who um, endangered the status quo and how, they were taken care of, you know. Apparently, some folks have been going missing, so it is kind of sort of like there's a precedent that has been set for, pun intended, question mark, there's a precedent that's been set for not great things happening to people with grand intentions. Now, and I'll just leave it at that. Why do I feel like I'm like tiptoeing now all of a sudden? Right? Let me just put it out there, girl. I'm just reading the cards. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. Just because I pick up on these metaphorical, hypothetical, whatever's through the cards that I see in the images and the everything else, don't mean I know nothing. I don't need nobody coming after me because I don't know nothing. No. If I were to come across certain information, I would keep my mouth shut. And if it were disseminated widely and freely, and it were to just so happen to oddly coincide with whatever, it wasn't me. It's whoever this reading resonates for. Let me stop. Go and track the views from the video. Get the IP addresses. I'm kidding. I kid. I joke. LOL. JK. Especially because it's the woman holding a coin. I did just see that though on the feed. I feel like that can be one of the kind of sort of tragic things, right? Because it's like if you think about Nikola Tesla and all that he was sort of like doing and working on, and how his contemporaries just kind of sort of like, I mean, maybe they did make some of the stuff and we just don't know about it. But it almost seems like they weren't able to like really take advantage of those things or bring those visions to life, so they remain in the theoretical, hypothetical space. When it's like the man who could have done it was already there doing it. You know what I mean? And so there is some like low hanging fruit right there of like someone is conspiring against you to blah blah blah, and then they ain't even gonna be able to do nothing with it. You know what I mean? So it just, I don't know, recirculates. Maybe there has been certain technological breakthroughs and because you know how like if sometimes there are certain ideas that float the collective, and so you'll see things pop up around the globe at around the same time. Right. So this could be an energy of like something that's been circulating and recirculating, or it could be dropping into the collective. It's going to find fertile ground where it can actually like become a thing now and not just be this theoretical, hypothetical like idea, right? So for that, I would be looking for the Empress, but we have the rabbit, so I feel like I don't really have to. You know what I mean? Anyway, the thinking man and the door to personal healing and happiness. Can we think our way into healing and happiness? Oh, I still gotta get alchemy cards. I still gotta get alchemy. What I'm gonna do is I am going to shuffle the deck and then pull the 7th from the top and the 7th from the bottom, because that's where the vulture and the phoenix came out. Am I gonna do that here too? I kind of want one. Let's get one mythical creature. Now I want to claim. Okay, well. Bottom of the deck is this thing. I've gotten it before. The Myrmicolian? Myrmicolian? This ant lion thing? I just saw something that was like, I didn't watch it, but it was like ants perform surgery. Scientists have just discovered that ants perform surgery. We have the basilisk and the plumed serpent. Interesting. We got a red snake and a green snake. Okay. Oh, I'm thinking of the cockatrice. I was like, I thought the basilisk was like a chicken monster. That's the cockatrice. And I feel like the cockatrice has the tail of a serpent. Does it? The body of a rooster or a chicken with the tail of a serpent? Like a serpent head on the tail, not just like a snake tail. Come on. Oh, no. This one looks like a dragon. Maybe it depends. See, this one looks like a rooster. But there's like different images. Well, I mean, I guess technically that one kind of looks like a rooster too, but more like a dragon dinosaur. Anyway, oh, literally right here. Yeah, look like giant chickens. Anyway, this one, some of these look less chicken. See, that one kinda. See, like the serpent tail, kinda, but not snakehead anyway. Let's get into the book. Let's get into the book. Now, with how the cards came out, the plume serpent is on the left, the green snake, and the basilisk is on the right. Should I just go ahead and get the alchemy? Sure. Let's go ahead and get the alchemy. So then I can just, yeah, I can do all the reading at once. Oh, look, there's a snake. The darkening. With the blackbird on top. Is it a raven? Is it a crow? I don't know. I know one is bigger than the other, but when it's a flat image and like they're kind of different with like the wings, maybe. I looked it up before. And I was like, this is very informative. And if I had two side by side, it might help me. But without that comparison, I feel like I'm still lost. Right? Like if you're like, oh, this bird is typically bigger than the other one, I'm like, okay, good to know. That's two. And the third. Oh, almost. We were almost there. Peacock's tail is at the bottom of the deck again. We saw it with the Ouroboros before. The two cards that came out, we have Ash Kenneth in reverse with the Oil of Vitriol upright. 33 in reverse, 35 upright. So Phoenix rises from the ashes, right? Here, with this upright, it's the glyph for fire, right? In reverse, it's the glyph for water. So already with this card being in reverse, it douses the flames before the phoenix can reconstitute itself. And also with this, it's almost like she's giving not supportive support, right? When someone or something is supposed to be there to like help. In a sense. I'm like, oh, well, here we go. Hypocrisy. So, like, if something or someone is supposed to be like of a help or an assist, but they just kind of like yell at you. So it's like not helpful. It's kind of like that. Like this cheetah yelling at the gold to like combust, or the cheetah yelling at Ash to like combust so a phoenix can rise. And it's like, if yelling would help, you would have gotten it accomplished a long time ago. And yes, I hear the irony. Now, what's interesting is the cheetah is the magician in the Wada-known tarot. This is the Wada-known alchemy. Now, on one hand, in one sense, it could be that. On another, I could also see it being like, again, let's say that the ash is underwater and this cheetah has a supersonic roar, and so it like roars at the ash and it like all of the water is like pushed out, right? So it uses its supersonic roar to keep the water away so that the ash can reignite and the phoenix can hopefully like ride that breath and free itself from the water, right? It could be that. Who's at the bottom of the deck? Oh, the peacock's tail. And because the peacock's tail, like if this were the cheetah, and this would be like the supersonic roar, right? Like that. And then this is the ash. Like this is the ash. And now because all the water is pushed away, it can catch a spark. And then the phoenix can hopefully ignite and rise up out of that before the breath of the cheetah wears out and the water like comes back in. And so I feel like that almost, so when temperance was there, I don't know if I said it, I thought it, when temperance was there, it felt like guidance, question mark. It felt like leading a horse to water, question mark. It felt like painting a constellation and just like waiting for somebody to see the image. Like, you know what I mean? It was what? Temperance and the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck? What are we even doing? It's this new moon Gemini, apparently. And it's interesting because, like, I guess Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So this is almost a little less psychopath Mercury and a little bit more like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here's a message, Mercury. And you're like, where did it come from? It doesn't have a return address. And it's just like, put the apple in the ground. And you're like, okay, sure, I'll put the apple in the ground. And then you get a whole apple tree. You're like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to take these. Now, interestingly, we have copper under the peacock's tail. Copper is the element, question mark, metal, question mark, associated with Venus. And Venus did recently conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, but it is now in Leo. Hey, water to fire. And we have this like Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups type situation moment. Is that Gandanta, or is it Gandanta when it's in retrograde? It may be Gandanta when it's retrograde, because I feel like Gandanta is when it goes from fire to water. Gandanta is a Vedic concept that I know the name of because it was like real hot on my algorithm at one point years ago now, and that's all I know. It's something that happens in that transition between water and fire. And so when planets do that, they're like doing a Gandanta thing. If I had to spell it, Gandanta, Gandanta. Am I going to look it up real quick? Sure. Why not? Now, since it's a Vedic concept, I don't know how neatly it would translate to tropical. Gandanta. Gandanta. No, not Rata. Gandanta Nakshatras. Gandanta is a Sanskrit astrological term translating to karmic knot or end knot. It refers to highly sensitive and chaotic transition points in Vedic astrology where the zodiac shifts abruptly from a water sign to a fire sign. So it's water to fire. So that's the natural order, right? Because you go from Cancer to Leo, from Pisces to Aries, from Scorpio to Sagittarius. It goes from water to fire. Cool. It comes from Ganda, meaning knot, joint, or bubble, and Anta, meaning end. Interesting. These are areas where the zodiac experiences a sudden energetic shift because they lack a smooth transition between the endings of water signs and the beginnings of fire signs, implying that the transition is a lot smoother for everything else. Now, fortunately, in my Time Nomad app, I can just scroll up or down. I scroll down, and we're going to look at sidereal instead of tropical and apply. And we're going to see what's up. So, Eris is 1 degree of Aries. Chiron is 5 degrees of Aries. Does that mean Aries is in this Gandanta point? Anyway. Interesting. The sun is 29 degrees 52 minutes in Taurus. So it's almost Gemini. The moon is already Gemini. It doesn't look like it. Closest things would have been Eris. Eris is 1 degree of Aries. Chiron is 5 degrees of Aries. Leo has the south node at 8 degrees. And Sagittarius is empty. So technically, maybe we don't. Again, I don't know how it necessarily translates from Vedic to tropical, if. And this, wow. Aries has been in Aries for 123 weeks and 3 days. February 2nd, 2024, it entered Aries. And it retrograded here. So, I guess, yeah, anyway. Anyway. I'm going to have to go to the restroom. Oh, this deck. I didn't even look in there. So, but just the energy in general, even if a planet hasn't gone Danta, it's the chaotic and abrupt transition from water into fire. Now, again, we had the Three of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. And then the Four of Cups, right? It was the Knight of Swords, a face down card, and then the Four of Wands. How did I not clock that? Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands, Four of Cups, Four of Wands. We have as many cups as we have wands. On the outside, we have the Three of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. And see, it read like there is a certain amount of like figuring out that happens because the hand originally was with the. I have the cards right here. I kept them out. The hand was with the wand and not the cup. Okay, girl. Right, with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups. But with the Four of Wands, the hand, or with the Four of Cups, sorry, the hand is on the cup. And also, we have the Two of Swords here, the King of Swords and the Two of Swords. This is a collaboration. It's almost maybe giving inCryptid. Cryptid, like Bigfoot stuff. Sorry. It was there. I feel like if it's an abrupt shift from water to fire, then the reversal of that, a 6 degree 40-minute window. If it's retrograde, or yeah, if it's retrograde, because it's like that's a water to fire transition, so that would align to ascension, right? If heavenly fire is water on earth, then to make a water to fire transition, one would ascend from earth to heaven, energetically at the very least. And we do have the plumed serpent here, which definitely has some verticality to it that the basilisk red serpent does not have. I feel like I was going to ask Gemini something. Oh, well. I'm just like curious what Gemini has to say. You know what I mean? What was I going to ask about? Okay. Let's Am I going to interrupt this right now? No. If I remember at the end, I'll ask at the end. See the drowned king. You see all the pieces of gold that are like in the water. I feel like this is validating that like oil of vitriol is trying to sonic roar the water away from the ash so that it can catch fire. Now, what's interesting is though, that Ace of Cups that we saw is the source of these waters, right? The Ace of Cups is overflowing. Not necessarily. Thematically, right? Thematically, the Ace of Cups is the source of all that water. Now, you could say that just like there are certain things that are hidden behind trauma and vulnerability that we may or may not face, this could be hidden behind our need and desire to be loved unconditionally. And low hanging fruit, take it if it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. It may just be more of like a thought experiment that we apply to this specific scenario and situation. But sometimes our need to be loved unconditionally, it gets us to, can hypothetically get us to almost like, I don't want to say excuse things that, I feel like excuse things is a bit extreme. Maybe sometimes, let me just say it. North Node in Sagittarius is like, girl, just say it. Sometimes our need to be loved unconditionally, it's like it causes us to see or reach out for I don't want to say a grace that isn't there, because I feel like to say that it causes us to reach out for a grace and a mercy that isn't there is a little extreme. But sometimes our need to be loved unconditionally can have us think or believe that there shouldn't be or that there aren't consequences to our actions, choices, decisions, behaviors, etc. Right? Like there's nothing. And so in that, we partially blind ourselves to certain things that we may never, because we blind ourselves in some ways, we are blind in others. It's like in one hand is a sword of the things, it's the sword of the knowledge of things that we wish not know. And then in the other hand is the sword of the knowledge of things that we won't, because of this. It's like, because we don't want to know this, we'll never know this type energy. And it came out with the rabbit. Rabbits are also like very timid, right? We saw the eagle a lot in the pre-shuffle of the well-known animal spirits. And in the lore of the rabbit is like, what if an eagle comes and like eats us? What if an eagle comes and eats us? What if an eagle comes and eats us? And one day an eagle is flying overhead, overhears the rabbit, and decides in that moment that it's going to eat the rabbit. So it is a kind of negative self-fulfilling prophecy that's born out of fear. Where are we? Why am I here? Like, how did I get here? Oh, because the water. The Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups drowns the spark. It's because of the Ace of Cups that the phoenix will never rise. And even if it's not to necessarily, because again, I started the video by saying sometimes I go all the way, and we ain't got to get that. We don't have to go that far. Maybe it's more like our need to be loved unconditionally interferes with our ability to be, what's that word? Our need to be loved unconditionally interferes with our ability to be accountable, self accountable. And without that self accountability, it's hard to gain any kind of like mastery over a thing, right? Because again, the way it originally came out with that page of wands on the other side of the ten of swords is like there's this whole song, dance, ritual. There's something that is completely unnecessary when it comes to whatever is to be like it's agriculture, and it's something that we've been doing for thousands of years. And if the conditions are right, it doesn't take an act of divine intervention to get things to grow. It's a little bit of knowledge and some hard work, and that's it. And it maybe it's like if our self accountability is limited because of our need for unconditional love, then we'll never, it'll be difficult to reach that point where it's not pointless rituals. Because, and the King of Swords is here with the elk. The King of Swords firmly holds that Ace of Swords and wears the crown from the Ace of Swords, right? Cool. Maybe it's more of that. And I feel like it's hard to kind of sort of see it the way that we, I don't know, again, it's like a need. I said it, it's fine. I'm gonna have to go to the restroom. I feel like I should go now. I'm gonna go to the restroom now. I'll be back. Okay, so I was thinking, every now and then, restroom break is appropriate. You know, so it's almost like I want to preface this by saying I've only seen the first 7 episodes of Game of Thrones, and from that first 7 episodes, I feel like I don't know much. Most of my knowledge of Game of Thrones is peripheral and hearsay, but it almost gives like a Joffrey type energy, and I feel like it's like an energy of an entitled, spoiled kid, right? It's like our need for unconditional love that interferes with our ability to be like self accountable is very like we can do whatever and like consequences be darned because our parent, like somebody's going to bail us out or someone's going to, you know what I mean? And so it's almost like someone that never really truly comes into them. I mean, you could say they never come into themselves, but sometimes that's all there is. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, right? But whatever this Phoenix is, it's like in that, like we think that something and someone is going to bail us out and that consequences don't really matter and all this other stuff. It's like we never really learn something. And it's very much that kind of energy. So in that case, there is no amount of tantrum that we can throw or what, like we can't scream and yell and stomp our feet and get any further than we already are. You know what I mean? Type energy. And we don't have to be like, there's a balance to it, right? It's not to be so whatever that it doesn't whatever. I'm filling the blanks. Again, we don't have to take it to an extreme, but yeah, I feel like it's fine. All right, so one, excuse me, two, one more, oh my, three. We made it. And I'll give it a cut, and we're going to pull the seventh from the top and the bottom. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have the new pearl, Margarita Preciosa, number 44, XL40 IV4 is the seventh from the bottom. With the Phoenix, we get the new pearl. And from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breath, number 36, Numa. Numa, 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 yay. Look, the Raven's head at the bottom of the deck. I was like, is it a raven? Is it a raven? Is it a crow? I don't know. We saw darkening, right? Before. I don't remember the number. I feel like it'll be easier to just pull up the image in the book than it would be to go through all the cards. But it was the raven with the pearl standing on top of the snake. If you are looking for my answer to that question that was posed to myself earlier, I think my answer would be no. I don't know. I feel like I would have to be convinced, and it's not my call to make. It's not my choice and decision. Um, but I feel like I would have to be convinced that it wouldn't make things worse. That it wouldn't just be a new thing for us to like use against one another. So there's the blackbird with the pearl on top of the snake. And then that's the bottom of the deck. Cool. Now what's interesting is on one side we actually do have that new pearl. Sans Raven. And this is kind of the sigil for Earth, isn't it? And the two animals that we got on the side of the Phoenix are Earth. Right? You see the triangle with the line, and it's almost like this is the triangle with the line. On the other side, we have fire and air, the lizard and the bee. Oops. Okay, this goes. Let me just set this here. Yeah, I feel like that's why, again, that's kind of why I take the approach that I take. I just feel like sometimes I don't want to say we like baby ourselves out of anything truly different or a change, but like we can kind of sort of coddle ourselves to the point where we don't really do anything. And then we keep hitting the same dead ends and we keep coming up against the same walls and, you know. And it's my hope that through these, maybe someone does the brave, courageous thing and they, change or change things and not just, come face to face with the same things over and over and over and over and over and over. And then convince ourselves that it's just life and it's just the journey and it's just the way things are. It doesn't have to be like this. Interesting. So Numa is one after the 35 of Oleum Vitrioli. And it was like in a single breath of the supersonic roar of that cheetah. And then right after it is breath. LOL. And then one after Margarita Preciosa is Ouroboros 45. We saw it earlier. We started there. Oh, look, it's kind of like that one. Right? How it was like coated in gold or whatever. And then we literally have this pearl with the gold around it. Cool. Love that energy. Hey, Allie, how you doing? As Corvids, there you go. Let me make it easy. Let you make it easy for me. The Corvid. Is it a crow? Is it a raven? I don't know, but it's a Corvid. Okay. And I put the book down. All right. I'm going to read. And maybe because the door to personal healing and happiness is here. I guess that's a question. Does that I feel like that's like a question for like Rob or a professional. The question of, because again, the door to personal healing and happiness is here if we it's fine. It's fine. The question remains. The question stands. Plumed serpent and the basilisk. Let's see. Basilisk is page 64. The plumed serpent is page 124. 64, we actually saw. I feel like it was a number. Why do I feel like it was a number? Are there any numbered cards here? Where would I have seen 64? Hello? Was it in the... I don't know if the Energy Oracle cards goes up to 64. 64 is calcinatio, calcification, the great alchemical operation of fire. Maybe it was a page number? I feel like we saw like 64 and 32. Is there a 64? I don't think there is. 32 is the door to spirit, and no. We haven't seen the door to spirit. No, there aren't 64 cards. I really feel like I saw 64. But like the number. Could it have been the last time I was live? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. I counted the cards 63. 64 and 124. There's a difference of 60. Phoenix. Oh, look at that. Transformation, vitality, new beginning, second chance, restoration, rejuvenation, reincarnation, immortality, surviving, healing, longevity, optimism, and light. Not what I was looking for. Oh, that's actually the page before the plumed serpent. So after the phoenix is the plumed serpent. You see? Here's the phoenix on page 123. There's a phoenix on 123. Right. So you can see the whole thing. Phoenix, 123, turn one page, plume serpent, 124. The plume serpent is intelligence, innovation, science, civilization, worldliness, ideas, fertility of the mind, order, planning, logic, reason, rational thinking, and smart leadership. We have the thinking man on the left side facing the phoenix, and we also have the king of swords that came up beside the elk. The plumed serpent is a recurring motif from the various high civilizations of ancient Mexico. It is an enormous aerial serpent adorned with the shimmering green feathers of the quetzal bird. Images of the plumed serpent first appeared 3,000 years ago among the Olmecs, whose influence sparked all the later civilizations in Mexico. The creature continued to appear on sacred temples for millennia. On the Temple of the Sun in Chichen Itza, the shadow of the serpent's undulating body lines up with its stone head during the solstices. And we're coming up on a solstice, aren't we? Yeah, the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. Interesting. The Mayan name of the plumed serpent is Kukulkan. Its Aztec name is Quetzalcoatl. Among both the Mayas and the Aztecs, this serpent is associated with the creation of civilizations. The plumed serpent is directly linked to the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, who was named after the creature. Originally a borrowed Toltec wind god called Ehecatl, Quetzalcoatl is regarded in modern day as the most famous of Aztec gods. He is the father of civilization and the inventor of the calendar, and is the only major Aztec god who did not demand human sacrifice. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl and his rival Tezcatlipoca worked together to create the world. In the original myth, these two deities cooperated to repeatedly create and destroy the world in accordance with the grand cosmic cycle. After the Spanish conquest, Quetzalcoatl became identified with reason and goodness, while the darker Tezcatlipoca became equated with the devil, which is interesting because 60 is double card energy. It's the second six. And that's the difference between the plume serpent and the basilisk. So is the basilisk sitting in the place of the Tezcatlipoca? I don't know. But some of the interesting things about this are, where were they? Yeah. The only major Aztec god who did not demand human sacrifice. And I feel like that's important because that page of wands that came out on the other side of the Ten of Swords, it was this like silly, unnecessary ritual thing, right? But for the people, it would have been appropriate. But for, I don't want to say like for other people, maybe it would have been seen as appropriate, but in the energy, it was like known that it's unnecessary, right? And that actually makes me think of, there's this other audiobook series that I've been listening to, and someone has an ancient revered ancestor that is basically elevated to levels of divinity who doesn't like sacrifice. Also in that Mexican um, Aztec Olmec area, there was an ancient revered ancestor that didn't like sacrifices, but that understood that that's like what people did. You know what I mean? And so I think when she like approached, or they approached her, they were like, "We got the sacrifices. Can you do this for us?" She was like, no. Hello. Anyway, so we have that plume serpent, which is again, it ascends into the heavens, the Gandanta, from the water on earth to the fire in the sky. 44. XLIV, Margarita Preciosa, the new pearl. The new pearl is one of the great promises of alchemy. From a single grain of sand, the pearl forms slowly but surely in the salty mouth of the oyster. The oyster, is it still here? Is it still here? It was at the bottom of the deck of the animals. Oh my gosh, OMG. Remember? Cool. The new pearl emerges as an alchemical miracle, a sight unimaginable at the outset. That said, the process is generated from irritation itself, such as the medicine of the new pearl card. The work is underway, but the gem has not yet been formed. Don't become petty and hasty, seeking a return on your efforts. Rather, turn to patience, consistency, and humility to remedy the discomfort. Let the magic of time and salt water do its work. Relax, believe, and support a fellow alchemist in finding the grit that will become their pearl. Don't worry about you right now. The entire ocean is your ally. Interesting how the entire ocean is your ally here. I mean, maybe it's me, right? I've been reading, it's not antagonistic. I feel like antagonistic isn't the way to necessarily phrase it, as much as it is, if the ashes are in the water and they have to catch flame in order for the phoenix to be reconstituted, then when they're like drowned, that's impossible. But you could say, especially because the Ace of Wands was there, it could be like a heavenly fire. No amount of water can ever douse something that burns with divine fire. It's just not possible. It's like it operates on an entirely different paradigm. Almost like it's like imposed or transposed upon the world. right? So theoretically, since the divine fire is transposed upon the world, then any water, it would be like it's empty space type energy. Because it's like it's there, but it's not there. You know what I mean? Anyway, also, this mentioned the miracle, right? The new pearl emerges as an alchemical miracle, a sight unimaginable at the outset. Not only that, so again, like the Ouroboros that we saw, is it here? Like the Ouroboros that we saw, that was gilding this E. coli, whatever, coating it in gold. We have that same, like that's what the oyster does to the sand to create the pearl. But it's like literally the same. So, less of a stretch of the imagination. But also, it sort of plays into that preternatural energy. It's something that reads like magical, mystical, or miraculous, but that's just, it's nature. It's how things work. Right. An oyster gets irritated, they protect themselves, reduce the irritation, and then you get a pearl type energy. Now we have 36. Yeah, it was 36. And how interesting that it's a 36. Okay. So let's go to page 64, 73, 61. Here we go. The basilisk. I might as well read the whole thing. Destructive behaviors, wastefulness, carelessness, recklessness, loss, ruin, bad habits, poisoning, pollution, counterproductive lifestyle, harming the environment. The basilisk is a small serpent distinguished by a crown on its head, like that of a rooster. This crown is the basis of the creature's name, coming from the Latin basilius for king. It is said to slither in a distinctive coiled fashion, not unlike a sidewinder. Sometimes it is portrayed as having the head of a rooster, even legs or wings. In later medieval bestiaries, the basilisk evolved into the cockatrice, which looked like a rooster with a serpent's tail. The basilisk was originally said to have been born from the blood of Medusa's severed head. Medieval Christians reinterpreted it as coming from a cock's egg that was hatched by a toad. In both versions, it is similarly dangerous. The basilisk is the most vile, toxic creature to ever crawl the earth. It is not aggressive per se, but its breath, oh my gosh, its breath, the breath of a basilisk. I thought it was the gaze. Sorry. Um, it is not aggressive per se, but its breath is so poisonous that it can kill something every time it breathes. It is also said to be able to kill with its gaze, a fate that purportedly befell a number of Alexander's troops. Only its natural predator, the mongoose, is immune to its venom. Roosters can also protect people from the basilisk, as the sound of their crowing call is fatal to the toxic creature. But everything else withers and dies in its presence. Basilisks inhabit the Arabian desert, which used to be a lush forest before these noxious serpents laid everything to waste. So interesting. We get the imagery of the lush forest becoming a desert that came out a minute ago. Also, it mentioned the poison, right? The poisoning. And in the last booster pack, we had the pest, which was a badger. I know badgers are also immune to the poison of something, or maybe they're just hardy enough that they can take it. Um, but it was like the badger was the shopkeeper's pest or whatever, but then the shopkeeper was like the poison dealer. Um, Also, yeah, the most vile, toxic creature to ever crawl the earth. Not aggressive per se, but its breath is so poisonous that it can kill something every time it breathes. It is also said to be able to kill with its gaze, a fate that purportedly befell a number of Alexander's troops. All right, now breath is inspiration, presence, and life force. There is no more direct way to practice alchemy than to study pneuma. We all have access to the mystical phenomenon known as the breath. It occurs at every moment, gracing us with the gift of existence upon the physical plane. If alchemy, as is suggested in this book, is the merging of physical and mystical, then this card serves as our ever reliant bridge. It is the magical within us, the expanding and generating life force that animates our life. This card may appear simple, but it is not. No matter how advanced you are in studying the breath, if you heed the message of this card, you will find it has more to teach. Bow to it at this very moment, and you will discover the work revitalizes itself. New space opens. Pneuma is your lifelong alchemical ally, stating its love with every inhale and exhale. And that's the thing that when it comes out of the basilisk, it just lays waste to everything. Cool. All right. Well, and then the lizard is here. I mean, yeah, lizards are basilisky, but there is also like the more lizardy basilisk than like the straight up snake basilisk, right? The ones that like run on water, right? Question mark, right? I'm pretty sure. Basilisk running on water. Not Jesus Christ lizard. Yes, the basilisk lizard, famously nicknamed the Jesus Christ lizard, can run on water. Using specialized fringed flaps on their toes, they sprint on their hind legs to slap the water, creating air pockets that keep them afloat before they sink and swim. That didn't mention that, but you know, cool. Yeah. Also, it's this very like earthy, which is interesting because like with this vulture, like with the lizard bee, King of Pentacles, like this is a very earthy in a like a routine way, rather than it being earthy in a earth way. Earthy in a sense of what we come to know and expect and believe earthy is, and not necessarily earth as the divine creation. Like it's very earth versus Pachamama type energy for me. But yeah, that's it, right? On one hand, you got the most vile, toxic thing to ever walk the earth, and on the other hand, you got what did it say? Uh, I mean, intelligence, innovation, science, civilization, worldliness, ideas, fertility of the mind, order, planning, logic, reason, rational thinking, and smart leadership. And it became associated with like logic and reason. After the Spanish conquest, it became identified with reason and goodness. Cool. The only one, and maybe that's the thing too, it's the only one that doesn't require sacrifice. And it feels like there's, I don't want to say a lot of grandstanding, but I guess that was kind of the question too, with whatever that Phoenix information is, right? it was number one, would it be widely disseminated? And I guess it was one, will it be disseminated? Two, will it be understood? But under that, the question of dissemination was the implication that some individuals would use that as, I don't know, some right to stand over others. And then they would be the ones that, enforce all that like weird stuff. That again, it's unnecessary. It read as very not necessary. And is it something that's demanded by the energy, or is it just a thing that like people do? Type energy. So, whew, I've never seen mutual of Omaha. Yeah. Interesting. And it's so interesting that it's the breath. But the card said the breath of that thing is toxic AF. I mean, it's the breath of a vulture. So, you know, it's almost like literally breathing in death. Okay, I need to keep these separate. I don't want to mix cards. Oh, nice. Okay. Right, hold up. Yeah, okay, there's the other deck. I was like, I think I kept these separate. Yeah, cool. Synchronicity at the cut with Raven's Head. Excuse me. I'm like, it's getting late, but I'm kind of hungry. Should I just go to bed or should I eat something? I should probably just go to sleep. I'm getting too old to eat before bed. The indigestion, it's not worth it. It ain't worth it to me. Who is this? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, because this was the final card. I put these back face up in an all face down deck. Actually, I kind of want to look at this before I put it back. I know it was towards the bottom of the deck. Where was the Phoenix over here? Was it the bottom or the top? I mean, it came out pretty close to the bottom, which I guess might be the top now. It was between the Page of Cups and the Nine of Swords. That's where the Phoenix was over here. Excuse me. The Magician at the cut. Speak of Nikola Tesla. With the most toxic, vile thing that ever walked the earth. And again, it was like how his contemporaries just could not realize the vision in the way that he could, even after they got access to all of his notes and whatever. Just still couldn't. Right. And it's like we lost out. The world lost out because of the greed and ego of whoever. What is that song? Oh, I was going to ask Gemini. Let's see. Is that song? Animal. I'm like, what is that? Wildlife special. Oh. In the 80s. Ooh, dark chocolate colored pistachios. Oh, the whale. Okay. The whale just made some noise. We actually saw the whale and the scorpion at the beginning. Whale and scorpion is such an interesting energy with kind of sort of how this came out. I feel like the whale only stings like the shallow. You know what I mean? I feel like only the shallow-minded, hearted would look at the well, and just like the existence of the well would be a sting. You know what I mean? Maybe it triggers some kind of jealousy. Maybe it triggers some kind of insecurity. It's almost giving peacock energy. How the peacock can be like an inverse mirror, meaning, didn't that kind of come out? Sometimes we see the peacock and we get like insecure about ourselves and we project that insecurity onto the peacock. Right? Like, oh, peacock thinks it's so this and peacock thinks it's so that. We saw the zebra. The zebra flipped out and kind of was like batting its eyelashes. Ooh, man holding a heart and the angel of love. What? Hold it. 45. 45 was the number of the Ouroboros. And I was like, are y'all ready for the Ouroboros? And then it's the man holding a heart. And I was like, ooh, I don't want it to be the door to romance. And there we go. Like I said last time, y'all will be the last to know. Victory 28, Journey number 2, 228. That's me. Bottom of the deck is second chakra Archangel Ariel. Victory, Journey, and the second chakra Archangel Ariel. Now, what's interesting about the second chakra is it is the home of the Kundalini, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned the last time because I was like, Archangel Ariel, like, what are you doing? The Kundalini are those serpents. Is your Kundalini like a basilisk, or is your Kundalini like a plume serpent? Is your Kundalini like the most toxic thing that ever walked upon? Hey, the card said it, not me, right? And again, like, I feel like it's so interesting that the basilisk mentioned the breath and that breath came out because I feel like breath is so, I don't want to say like woo-woo coded, but you know. I don't know why that song just popped into my head. Well, it wasn't really the song, it was more so the it was like no words, just the yeah, you know, it is what it is. Ma'at with the sun. And I feel like that's the thing about Ma'at type justice. It's like we can say all day long, like there are so many things that rightfully and justifiably excuse so many other things. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really help or matter. It's not that it doesn't matter, but it's like It only goes so far. It can only do so much. And we can't argue our way into whatever that Phoenix energy is. Type energy. I don't know. 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 We're gonna start. The energy oracle cards are already put away. You know what? I think I am gonna timestamp final cards at the very least. I'll say before the final cards 0000 and final cards will say 24130. Oh, 24130. Look at that. Cool. I kind of want to put these away first. I'm going to put away, I think this is the deck that the Ten of Swords that I used to clarify the Ten of Swords, Seven of Pentacles, and the Pentacles. Interesting. See, there's a rabbit on this Queen of Pentacles. I was thinking about it earlier, like before I went live, for no particular reason, because every now and then I guess it kind of King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, this was the deck. I'm pretty sure this is the deck that the Ten of Swords was on. It doesn't matter. Ten of Wands with that King of Pentacles. It's fine. And then the Tower with that King of Pentacles. I don't own the rights to that, obviously. All right, final card. This time cool. Two of Wands is at the bottom of the deck, and we see an eagle flying overhead, heading in the direction of that rabbit. We just saw a rabbit on the Queen of Wands, didn't we? We got 4 cards. 3 of them are majors. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is number 10. And then we have the Emperor and the Six of Swords and the Lovers. So either the 4 and 6 of the Emperor and the Lovers makes 10. But I guess the 4 and the 6 and the 6 would make 16, which is the Tower. I feel like this, I don't know, it feels like one of the most Hierophant coded emperors I have. You know, one thing that's interesting is, and maybe it speaks to that Phoenix energy, the Phoenix that came out on the other side as the mirror to the vulture. So I went on a walk today, right? And on my walk, there are 4 pinwheels. There's a gold sheen one. So it's like yellow, but if it catches the light, it has like a little green tint to it. And then there's a flat pink, purple, and green one. Now, every other time I've gone walking, the pink, purple, and green ones will be moving, but the gold one has never moved. Ever. Then, of course, because it never moves, I'm looking at it like, are you going to move? It moved today. I was like, oh my gosh. And so to have this, like the Phoenix that came out and this energy that sort of like here, the Wheel of Fortune reminded me, but also the gold that was around that new pearl. It didn't move a lot. It's like it moved a little bit. And then when I left, I was like, oh, can you move for me? And it moved a little bit more. I was like, thank you. And it's just something that I've been noticing, that the gold one has never moved until today, after the storm that took out the power for days. And it's interesting because almost 3 years ago, the same thing happened. The power was out for a lot longer. And I think the destruction was like worse. But that's when I had my own place and I got power like immediately. And this time it happened and I'm here, and it was 2 nights and 2 days. So the first evening, the the whole second day, and then the third morning. By the third evening, the power was back. I was just like, oh, interesting. But anyway, the gold pin will move today. See, this emperor, it's like this is the most hierophant grandstanding. Like, usually to me, the emperor is effortlessly. The emperor just like is. But this is an emperor that like it feels like it has to like do way too much. This is an emperor that almost feels like a costume. Or kind of, I don't know. See, and I don't even know if this is like a taxidermied eagle, because the eagle is like flying over here. Oh, this is interesting. The Two of Wands, the Hierophant, and the Three of Wands. This is blessed journeys. The Hierophant in this deck is this energy. That maybe that's why this is reading a traditional Hierophant. Because here the Hierophant is this like Lord Shiv trident. She's giving the Hierophant in the SKT revelations. It's a bodhisattvic energy. Basically, like one of those return of Christ consciousness type energies. Because again, the eagle is flying in the direction of the Hierophant here. And again, like this down here, I don't know, it reads like play. And maybe it sets itself up as a symbol for like things to flock to. But I don't know, the distance between the angel and the lovers has never been more apparent. Excuse me here. I don't know. Maybe it's when it comes to like the image of a thing and a vibe of the thing and what we make something mean and how we chase it or try to attain it and how far from the divine it can be, right? Mermaid at the bottom of the deck with the siren at the cut. Mermaids and sirens. But that siren is more like a harpy. All right, let's get a final mystical creature. Maybe this is the beginning. You know, all the girlies are saying that the 3D and the 5D are splitting, and maybe it's about that time. I don't know. Anyway, I'll give it 3 more. Okay. Oop. Well, there we go. Bottom of the deck is Sasquatch. Oh my gosh, it's literally Bigfoot. Remember when I was like, it's inCryptid? And I was like Bigfoot? As a cryptid, you know, cryptids like Bigfoot, Nessie, etc. And then Sasquatch is at the bottom of the deck. Like, yeah, inCryptid. You get into that Phoenix energy, you see in Bigfoots, Loch Ness monsters, unicorns, pixies, fairies, the whole world will open up to you. I'm just playing. Foo dogs. Interesting. Especially because they got the yin and yang on the foo dogs. Okay, foo dogs with Sasquatch at the bottom of the deck. It's in my head again. Mm-hmm. Food Dogs is on page 86, which is a 14. Sasquatch is on page 130. I'm going to just read the top of 46. Was that Food Dogs? No. 86? I know it was a 14. Food Dogs, protection, loyalty, security, guardianship, home, family, contentment, stable relationships, marriage, fidelity, partnership, cooperation, balance, and equilibrium. This mystical pair of creatures is known by many different names. Buddha dogs, not the Buddha dogs with that bodhisattvic energy. Buddha dogs, lion dogs, Shishi in Komainu, Japan, Shisa, Okinawa, snow lions, Tibet. They are a cross between lion and dog, possessing the sheer power of the one and the loyalty and guardianship of the other. The legendary protectors of Buddha, they are often seen as a pair of statues outside the entrance of a building or compound. One of the pair is male and the other is female, representing the cooperative balance of yin and yang. Each one guards something under one paw, the male a globe and the female her cub. The male food dog swallows evil spirits with his open mouth, while the female immobilizes them. Working together, the two magical beasts prevent evil from entering a home or building. Food dogs originated in China around 200 BC, shortly after the introduction of Buddhism. With this religion came the parable that the Buddha managed to tame the savage lion and it became his companion and guardian. The ancient Chinese were intrigued by this story, but most of them had never seen a lion. Through art and folklore, the lion evolved into a mythical creature. Eventually, the Chinese bred dogs that resembled their imaginative idea of this fantastic animal. The result of these breeding projects was the Pekingese, which was originally kept as a royal pet of the Chinese nobility long before commoners were allowed to own it. Interesting. Food dogs. With this religion came the parable that the Buddha managed to tame the savage lion, and it became his companion and guardian, although most of the ancient Chinese had never seen a lion. Also, one protects the globe, one protects the cub, right? And we just saw on that emperor, like it had a globe on it, but it felt like the globe and the two of wands with the eagle that was in the air moving was, I don't want to say the real globe, but that's the one that we saw next to that Buddha. I mean, I guess that's not in the SKT Revelations. It's a Buddha. I forget which one, but yeah. See this little globe and that little eagle. I don't know. See, this is it just don't it don't read right to me. It don't read right. And I feel like there's something to this lion. Buddha tamed the lions and they became his guardian. But the ancient Chinese, most of them didn't even know what lions looked like. And so that emperor would go and like get a pair of tame lions. It would go find lions that were raised in captivity or lions that had been broken in like a zoo or a circus or something, and it would use those lions as like a status thing. But it's like it's not that it's not really a lion. it's just something that they had never seen. So they don't know. And it almost gives the only water in the forest is the river, meaning that it's like what someone would have called a lion because where they were, like that was their approximation, right? It's like, well, they look kind of like lions, so they had to be some kind of lion because that's the only creature that kind of sort of fits that. And then you take that to a place where they don't even have lions. But I'm thinking there was like a big cat energy that came out recently. Was it the Inkling cat from the second Secrets of Strixhaven booster pack? Where we saw the Diary of Dreams? I think so. And that Inkling cat, you could give like wings. It could fly. Cool. Anyway, 130 Sasquatch. We're just gonna not go all the way into it. This is awareness, introspection, introversion, listening, watching, hiding, blending in, nature connection, primitivism, self-reliance, simple life, future shyness, and aloofness. It's encrypted. And it's hiding. LOL. Was that on purpose? Encryption? What's the etymology of that word? I need to know. It's like Nessie. It's like Sasquatch. It's encrypted. Let's do the animals. I see fire ants on the bottom of the deck with the stingray at the cut. The elk and the stingray. Okay. The butterfly and the stingray. Okay. Now there's another song in my head. That one is Passion Pit, I'm pretty sure. Okay, that just like switched songs. It went from Passion Pit, that one Passion Pit song, to Little Secret. I don't even know if that's the name of the. Let this be a little secret. No one needs to know we're feeling higher and higher and higher. It's a secret, feeling higher, ascension, plume serpent, Gandanta, going from the water on earth to the heavenly fire. No one needs to know we're feeling. Ooh, water and fire. There you go. But I feel alive, I feel it in me. Up and keep on climbing. Mother, I can tell when you've been thinking, staring at the stars. I think it is Little Secret, or Little Secrets. What was that first one, though? The line that's in my head is like, let your love grow tall. I don't know the lyrics. I know it's let your love something. Now I need to know. I mean, I only have one Passion Pit album in my personal library, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Oh, what's the name of the album? I know the art. I don't know the name. I don't have that many albums, so. Is it little? Is it the same song? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's not. Manners. Little Secrets is the song. It's this one. That is the name of the song. Let Your Love Grow Tall. That's literally the name of the song. I was like, I think it's Let Your Love Grow Tall. Let Your Love Grow Tall. Again, Little Secrets, Higher and Higher. Like Jack and the Beanstalk. It's the beanstalk that stretches into the heavens. I mean, I feel like we don't really gotta look at the lyrics, but now that Little Secrets is in my head. In pastures blue and green, I'll follow you and you'll follow me. My fabric's mystery. I'll wave your loyalty in the freezing breeze so desperately. And we did have that foo dog pair. Loyalty, mystery fabric, the veil, mystery fabric. I don't know. The bee and the fox. With the bee, it was like the buzz on Maggie. That's where it's time for me to go. That's where my brain is now. With the bee, like Maggie is a fly, but it was giving me the buzz on Maggie. And in the song, oh, there's mystery. Oh, how did I just lose it? I'm sly, I'm original, I'm nearly irresistible, and I don't even try. And then the fox was there. Because I was like, oh, that fits the song. I'm sly. Ooh, with the black egg. Okay. I'm nearly irresistible. I don't think it's mystery. It is that I'm sly. The fox and the octopus and the sea serpent, the octopus and the moth. Sea serpent giving Nessie, giving cryptid realness. That's why we got to use the mystical creatures oracle cards, because the message is encrypted. I feel like I want to put that in the title somehow. This message is encrypted. INCRYPTID. Y'all remember the Secret Saturdays? It's like today is Sunday. The earthworm and the eagle. Interesting. I saw a bird with a worm. I was like, oh my gosh. R.I.P. On the way home, like right down the street, this little bird with a worm just dangling. And it wasn't even that early. So okay. Anyway, all right. Final card from the Wild Unknown. Animal spirits, please. A final card from the Wild Unknown. Animal spirits, please. The horse and the tarantula. Horse plus tarantula giving a kind of hornless unicorn energy. Right? Because the tarantula is like a spider, but it's not a spider. And so with the horse, it's like a horse, but it's not a horse. So if I had to think, and in the realm of cryptids and mythical creatures, it's a hornless unicorn. But how would we discern a hornless unicorn from a regular horse? That sounds like a great question for Gemini. Hey, Google. How would one discern and tell the difference between a hornless unicorn and a regular horse? Don't do this to me. You were listening. I saw the bubble moving. Gemini's gotten so... Hello? Were you still listening? Come on. Hey, Google. How would one discern a hornless unicorn from a regular horse? What's the difference?
Aside from the obvious lack of a horn, a hornless unicorn, often traditionally called a licorn, differs from a regular horse through several distinct mythological traits, anatomical quirks. Unlike horses, traditional unicorns possess cloven hooves like a goat or deer, a lion-like tail, and a billy goat beard. Magical anatomy. Their blood runs silver or glowing, and their internal organs retain magical properties. Behavior and grace. They move with silent, supernatural grace, are completely untamable by ordinary means, and are fiercely drawn to purity. If you look closely at the hooves and tail, the disguise falls apart. Are you writing a fantasy story, or did you stumble across a suspiciously majestic horse?
If I said I stumbled across a suspiciously majestic horse, Google would be showing up like, oh, they got him. Ooh, the whale. Interesting. The whale was like, oh, that's a deep cut. The whale and the crow. Interesting. A licorn? Is that what it's called? I mean, horses are pretty graceful. So what would a suspiciously... Right, you need clearance. What would a suspiciously majestic horse even, like, you know? I feel like I should ask Amanda. Shout out to Autumn Car Messages. Ooh, okay. We got a flip. Who is that? The fire ants. Bottom of the deck is the firefly. The card that flipped over is the fire ants. From the ground to the air. What is this about? I mean, besides the whole grounded, maybe the grounded basilisk versus the plumed serpent. Is that lacy? I mean, honestly, animals aren't my strong suit. I mean, I do have the book. Sure, why not? The wolf, scorpion, panther, tarantula. It should be pretty low on the totem pole. Fire ants are aggression, rigid thinking, and following orders. Whereas the firefly is inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. So the ants, rigid thinking. The fireflies, inspired and fantastic. Fantastic, coming off of the licorn. Was that what it was? The hornless unicorn? The fantastical. Maybe that's it. Why not? Fire ant energy flares up without us noticing. It's the force that attracts us to people and situations that feed our imbalances rather than those that counter them. Gossiping and blaming are a few indicators that misaligned fire ant energy is at play. You may also find yourself stewing on a person or situation, only making things worse. How can you break free from the drama and cool down? Fire ants are surprisingly sensitive. Don't pretend the heat isn't getting to you. When in balance, it's thoughtful and disciplined. When out of balance, it argues, gossips, and its excess heat to bring into balance solo time and walks at night. The firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. It mentioned that unicorn's thing for purity, right? Firefly is pure. Pure, inspired, and fantastic. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. This high frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the Firefly card indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. There is Firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness this creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious and elusive light? When in balance, it writes, creates, and brainstorms. When out of balance, it's burnt out and feels dull. To bring into balance, draw or write a poem. Interesting. I feel like that kind of sort of plays on that energy of like with the thing, something circulating the collective again. Either it's circulating again or it's a download that's about to circulate the collective. And like with that Nikola Tesla energy, hopefully someone that can actualize it gets the opportunity to actualize it, right? Like I'm sure Thomas Edison was a genius in his own right, but a Nikola Tesla he was not. I don't know those dudes. I don't know one man from another. You could say it's all propaganda, right? Because, like I said, what do I know? But yeah, yeah. Oil of vitriol. Look at that. With the raven's head at the bottom of the deck. Voltefacium with the oil of vitriol, the despicable face. Y'all see both several of the faces. Okay, final. Ooh. That's a whole bunch. We got the alchemical wedding. Speaking of the food dogs, male and female pair. Sun's Splendor, Splendor Solus, number 53 at the bottom of the deck. The mirror to the 35, which is the oil of vitriol. Sun Splendor with the pair of birds. Excuse me. The Eagles. Eagles mate for life, question mark. It's actually in reverse, though. I'll take it. We have number 60, Alchemical Wedding, Hyros Gamos in reverse. We have Mars, number 5, upright. We have Rotatio, rotation, number 69, upright. And then reddening, number 15, upright. 15 is the second 6. That's the difference between 60, or the 64, question mark, of the basilisk and the 124 of the plume serpent. Now, what's interesting is, again, we have the card of rotation, rotatio, to turn this Hyros Gamos. Oh, all right. Also, with rotatio rotation, we have the sun splendor. And like all of the things that revolve around the sun but rotate on, I mean, not, I don't know. Is there a planet that always faces the same, like the same side of the planet always faces the sun? I don't know. But sun splendor and rotatio, rotation is kind of sort of giving that as well. And I guess let's just run through and read the keywords. So we'll start at number 60, LX. Hyros Gamos, alchemical wedding, ritual, celebration, and uniting. Ooh, maybe I do kind of like this in reverse, actually. What I appreciate about this in reverse is, again, the whole Page of Wands with the silliness of that ritual that came out with the Phoenix or on the Phoenix side of things. Also with Quetzalcoatl, like one of the only or one of the major Aztec Mayan gods that doesn't require sacrifice. So again, one of these is ritual, no ritual necessary. Type energy. Watch the Flaming Lips music video. Do you realize to go deeper? Number 5, Aries, is Mars Aries, will, vigor, and activism. Number 69, Rotatio, is the wheel, monotony, and cycles. Also, yeah, I didn't talk about that. It said that Quetzalcoatl and the other one, um, they like made and remade the world through cycles of like creation and destruction, right? Giving very Yug energy, like Vedic time, Kali Yugs, the other ones. Yeah. And then number 15, reddening is, come on, life force, Kundalini, and blood. There's Kundalini again, even though it was just like a sort of like nod to the Kundalini. I wouldn't say it was actually Kundalini type energy. Um, with the second chakra archangel Ariel, the Kundalini being housed in the sacral type energy. Um, also, life force. That's what breath was. And maybe Basilisk mentioned it too. There's something about the life force of the basilisk that is so whatever that it eats away and poisons like everything around it. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Uh, maybe a point of reflection for us in terms of how we approach the world, others, the things that we feel entitled to, etc., or our general attitudes towards whatever. All right. Now I got, is that Brother Bear? You'll be in my heart. Phil Collins, question mark. Was that Brother Bear? Oh, come on. Ooh, okay. This deck, this got to be the newer one. Because it is stiff in a way that other Astro Matrix Tarot deck is not. King of Cups at the cut with the Six of Swords. We saw that Six of Swords heading towards the Emperor in the other deck, and also the King of Cups as the card that was at the bottom of the deck for the other deck. I just saw the Ten of Pentacles, the Star, and the King of Cups. Now them some purified waters. Okay, final card, please. Ooh. The final card is the King of Cups. Ooh. It flipped right over. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pennies. It is Phil Collins. Tarzan. That makes sense. The King of Cups and the Page of Pennies. The Six of Swords is under the Page of Pennies. What I immediately noticed in the Page of Pentacles is the goat on the leash, right? Goat giving devil energy. In the devil card, the goat has the people on a leash. But in the Page of Pentacles, she has the goat on the leash. Right? Meaning like it's there, but it's not wild, untamed. In the driver's seat, in control. And then the King of Cups is here. She's giving gender fluid, gender bendy. What do you call it? Oh, it's right there on the tip of my brain. It's right there on the tip of my brain. Androgynous. There we go. She's giving androgyny. Is it a goat or a unicorn in disguise? That could be. Maybe that's the magical rope. It's like a cloaking device mechanism. It makes it appear to be some ordinary animal. It's the heel, like that little heel. There's the androgyny. So if she's giving masculine and feminine, oh, she's giving masculine and feminine energy in one, or this interplay between masculine and feminine elements. And then we have the one person here with the goat there, because usually the devil has both of the lovers, right? In chains. Now, this may be one of those take it as it resonates. Take it as it resonate. Take it as it resonate. Sorry. I said it's time to go. It's something that's very like to not only have one's like masculine, feminine energy imbalance within oneself, but also one's like ego and spirit in a way. Because the goat is there, but it's like on a leash, right? It's not to like get rid of whatever. I almost want to say because that's the point, question mark, to prove that it doesn't have to be this thing that's like completely eliminated and obliterated, suppressed, in order for things to be like balanced. It feels like there's something there. It feels like it's definitely not necessarily for the, I don't want to say faint of heart because I feel like that's a little bit extreme. It's not for one who may lack a certain constitution, question mark. I feel like constitution isn't even necessarily the word. Um, because again, it's part of that play of, because I think sometimes it's like, I don't know if it's like too much free reign. I don't know. Okay. Thanks, Holly, for stopping by. I hope you all have an amazing whatever. Whenever you see this, I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and way you find, I hope that you find the resonance in this for you and that your intuition and discernment is healthy and in gear. And also, I am going to ask Gemini that thing that I wanted to ask earlier. Hey, Google. So oh goodness. Hey, Google. So I'm looking at the vulture and the way that it properly decomposes things. What would you say if I put a phoenix there in that position instead of the vulture?
Replacing a vulture with a phoenix completely flips the ecological dynamic from decay to rebirth. Instead of safely breaking down diseased carrion, a phoenix would incinerate it, potentially sanitizing the area but destroying the nutrient cycling that soils rely on.
And that's why we don't ask Gemini everything. That's why we still got to have discernment. Because, like, yeah, it was, again, I don't know. There's something in that. But, and maybe this is why I'm asking at the end. Because there's something about the superposition. Is that the word? I'm pretty sure it's superposition. there's something about the superposition of that fire that it doesn't actually interact with the physical. Superposition is the ability of a physical system to exist in multiple states, configurations, or conditions simultaneously. When multiple stimuli, waves, or states overlap, they combine to form a new combined state or response. I don't know if superimposition is a thing. Superimposed, yeah, superimposition. Superimposed. Superimposition is the act of placing one object, image, or concept on top of another so that both remain simultaneously visible or evident. It essentially means layering elements to create a combined effect, compare features, or add new information to an existing foundation. It's the heavenly fire that's superimposed on top of reality, right? So, like with the water and the ashes, heavenly fire doesn't have to compete with water to ignite those ashes because they exist. It's like superimposed on top of the other. Like how my shadow was imposed on my hand here, right? Like that. So it's not actually there. You can have both in the same space at the same time. And since the phoenix is born of the superimposed heavenly fire, it wouldn't actually scorch the earth. It's fine. I'm already 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 27 seconds in. What's a few more minutes? Now, the superimposition, I guess, with the masculine, feminine together, with the ego and spiritual together, between the King of Cups and that Page of Pentacles, it does. I mean, superimposition has kind of sort of been a thing, right? With the energy of that one card, which I think might be the King of Hearts, if I'm not mistaken. If I am not mistaken, and I might be, I think it's the King of Hearts. A bell that brings the tangible and intangible into harmony as it pulses out into the universe, collision or cohesion. King of Hearts, I don't know. It has to be the King of Spades then. The King of Hearts is a decision that once made cannot be rescinded, a wise king that settles an impossible dispute, operating in divine order. King of Diamonds is a bell that brings the physical and intangible into harmony as it pulses out into the universe, collision or cohesion. That's the King of Pentacles that we saw on the other side. That because the basilisk was there, it tends towards collision. That's that vile, destructive force that's breath, that the breath of that basilisk that brings ruin, right? Because of how it sort of brings things into balance, or because of what it imposes upon things as they come into balance, right? It's very much like there can only be one type energy. It's very survival of the fittest type energy. It's very, I saw, it was a while ago. I'm not super into I feel like I should be more into superheroes than I am. I feel like knowing me as like a person in general, it would make sense for me to like love Marvel and DC and superheroes, but I don't. Like I don't dislike them, but I'm not crazy about them either. Which again, it's kind of surprising. But anyway, I saw something that the reason why the anti-mutant sentiment is so high in the X-Men universe is because every time a new human has come along, it's outcompeted the previous one, right? So when you have Homo erectus and Homo sapiens, when they met, which one was the one that kept on, right? So it's like, because they don't want to become extinct, basically. That's why mutant prejudice is so high. So, where was I going with that? Why the basilisk is so kind of sort of, yeah. Anyway, I feel like I was going somewhere. It's fine. Not the superimposition. Yeah, the cohesion. There was the superimposition between antimatter and matter, dark matter and matter, the physical and the spiritual, like we see in the Ten of Swords Destroyer and the SKT Revelations edition, the same edition that we see the Hierophant in. And it's right here. I might as well. What's a few more minutes? Ooh, ooh. Hello. I'm not trying to lose cards now. The Two of Cups and the Knight of Swords. How interesting. Knight of Swords is that energy that was riding through the mystery to the Four of Wands. We're looking for, I might as well give it a little shuffle. Might as well give it a little shuffle. The Ivory Shield. In the Vitruvian edition, she's my BTFU, STFU, Mind Your Business Queen. She's the one that stands guard at all things sacred, holy, or worth protecting. Okay. Oop. The Kindred, the Corrupted, and the Reaper. The Kindred, the Corrupter, and the Reaper. 3 plus 7. Cups is 10 cups. Archangel Commander. Who am I looking for? 2 cards. I'm looking for the Hierophant and somebody else. Excuse me. Interesting. And then there's the Wheel of Life with the Demiurge. So there's the Empress and the High Priestess, right? And then there's the Demiurge and the Wheel of Fortune. And then there's the title card, the Ivory Shield, and the Vagabond. The BTFU, STFU, Mind Your Business Queen with the title card right there. And the 5 of Pentacles right there. Again, she stands as the guardian of all things that are sacred, holy, and need to be protected. Oh my gosh, that's the other card I was looking for, the Destroyer. It's literally right next to the Hierophant. The Hierophant and the Destroyer right next to each other. This is that superimposition between the physical and the spiritual. 2 arms of the physical, 4 arms of the spiritual. And then this Hierophant in this deck is the return of that Christ-like energy, but in the Buddhist sphere. Right? Is it Maitreya? Now that I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure it's Maitreya. Maitreya. Open to the Demiurge. That's not even the Demiurge. That's just the example. Yeah. It's fine. Here we see that superimposition. And because they're superimposed, they can occupy the same space without there being any of that weird interaction between the two that causes whatever competition, things that transpire out of the irreconcilability of these two different things, right? So let's see if we can't refine this thing. Actually, I might have to let's go back into it. Okay, so assuming that the phoenix has a sort of heavenly fire that is superimposed onto the world so that it doesn't burn the soil, how would this change your interpretation? And send it. Can you read it? Can you read it? Read it to me, Gemini. What did she say? Show it to me, Sarah. I don't know. Oh, girl, this is a whole lot. She gave me a paragraph. So, replacing the physical fire with the heavenly fire that only consumes the dead completely changes the game. If this fire operates on a metaphysical level, leaving the grass and soil untouched while vaporizing carrion, we move away from ecological destruction and enter the realm of absolute purification. Here is how the substitution reframes the entire process of decomposition, both ecologically and symbolically. Again, we end up on the purification that the unicorn and the bulldogs question mark, no, the unicorns and the firefly talked about. Somehow we're back on purification. So number one, instantaneous versus gradual nutrient cycling. Vultures are highly efficient, but they still take time to strip a carcass, and what they leave behind, bones, fragments, and waste, seeps slowly into the earth, creating a localized, nutrient-rich decomposition island. Your phoenix bypasses the physical breakdown entirely. The heavenly fire implies an instantaneous transition from matter to ash. If that ash is rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the surrounding soil wouldn't just be saved from scorching, it would receive an immediate concentrated dose of fertilizer. Growth in that specific spot would happen rapidly, turning a site of death into a sudden burst of lush flora, giving the rabbit how it takes on a life of its own and just proliferates. Number two, sterile sanitization versus biological balance. Vultures possess incredibly acidic stomach biomes with a pH of approximately 1 that literally destroy deadly pathogens like anthrax, botulism, and cholera, stopping outbreaks before they start. However, they are still part of a messy physical food web that supports insects, fungi, and bacteria. The phoenix represents a sterile supernatural upgrade. The benefit, total eradication of disease. The heavenly fire acts as a perfect absolute antiseptic. Plagues wouldn't just be contained, they would be completely wiped from existence the moment the flame touches the host. The trade off, by vaporizing the carrion, the phoenix deprives the local detritivores, maggots, beetles, fungi, and soil microbes, of their primary food source. You might solve the disease problem, but you risk starving the lower tiers of the local ecosystem. And then finally, three, the shift in symbolic weight. In a narrative or world building, not world bending, in a narrative or world building sense, swapping a vulture for this specific phoenix alters the entire mood of the landscape. So we have the attribute, the visual, the concept of death, and then the emotional tone. So those four things. I'm going to read the vultures and then I'll read the phoenixes. So the visual of the vulture, which is the real world, grim, heavy, patient, grounded, nature's necessary cleanup crew operating in the mud. The concept of death associated with the vulture. Death is a slow transition, a physical recycling of energy where life bleeds into other life forms. The emotional tone, acceptance of the macabre and biological reality. with the celestial phoenix, your world. I love how it says the real world and then your world, as if I'm not a Pisces. Why did I just trigger myself? Why is this triggering me? Well, in the real world, okay. The visual of the celestial phoenix, radiant, sudden, awe inspiring, a literal divine intervention cutting through decay. The concept of death here, death is an immediate transformation. The physical vessel is erased, leaving only pure potential behind. The emotional tone is mercy, purification, and immediate spiritual renewal. By superimposing this heavenly fire, you've essentially turned a gritty biological reality into a clean magical ecosystem where death leaves no scar and carries no rot, only a clean slate. I feel like at the end of all of that, I end up somewhere uncomfortably close to an outcome that need for unconditional love dictates, necessitates. Maybe that's a me thing. Also, this was a thought experiment. So, see, again, kudos to Gemini. Sometimes, like any tool, you got to know, what you got to finesse, you got to guide, you got to direct, or, or not. Anyway, interesting. I don't know. It's like, maybe not. Cool. That was fun. I appreciated it. I enjoyed it. At the end of all of this, though, I'm reminded of the zebra that came out at the beginning and how it was like batting those big eyelashes, especially because the zebra has that like portal thingy on its forehead. This is black and white, but that thingy up there. Is this a hornless unicorn? It's got a portal where the horn would be. I don't know. Cool. All right, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun. I almost want to like. It's fine. I think the thing there is though that there are still other things in the ecosystem that rely upon the vulture doing its job. Maggots, beetles, fungi, and soil microbes. You might solve the disease problem, but you risk starving the lower tiers of the local ecosystem. A clean, magical ecosystem where death leaves no scar and carries no rot, only a clean slate. Maybe that's not too extreme. You know what I mean? Maybe I read into it a little too much. Cool. Once again. See, but I'm also, again, I'm glad that I chose to do that at the end rather than doing it earlier because it was everything that was on the table. If I would have done that before we saw the oil of vitriol and ash, because seeing that is what led me to the superimposition. actually, where it said the ocean is an ally, like all of that, right? And I feel like that, I don't, I mean, we did see it was what, the Empress, the High Priestess, the Demiurge, the Wheel of Life, the title card, and the Ivory Shield. It's fine, right? In general, and the King of Swords was there. So it's almost like in certain terms, sometimes question mark, it's almost like we need to, I don't know if need to know is the right word. There's something about an awareness, attention, and addressing to the natural cycles and phenomenon when it comes to, at the very least, the visualization of certain things. I don't know. All right. Once again, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that whatever, whoever, however you need, whatever, whoever, and however you need it, you find it to get where you're going. And I also hope you, I want to say like I hope you are non fatalistic. Like it's not to be, I hope you're a healthy balance. I hope you're a healthy balance in all that you seek, all that you do, and all that you aim to achieve. How about that? How about that?